Cue fake podcast music. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Da-da.
Hello and welcome to Michigan and Other Mayhem, the show about Michigan, murder, mysteries, histories, and other random mayhem from around the world. Your hosts are Allie.
And Jen.
And
special guest, Melina.
there we go.
Da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da. Guest podcaster.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. We should all do the wave like
Yeah.
back in the day. So, Jen, what you got today?
I have a subject
Yeah, it's going to be one of those days, I think. I messed up on the name of our podcast.
It's rainy.
That's
It's
fair.
dreary.
It snowed this morning.
Yeah, it snowed. It's a dreary day.
Yes.
I have a subject suggested by Jake, one of our listeners. Jay-Z Knight.
Now, isn't that like a cult leader? Or did he have some just fantastical ideas?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
I think it's cult.
Okay.
It took me 2 minutes to figure it out.
Well, let me just quote you from yesterday when you said, it's a cult. Run.
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my whole podcast.
That was going to be your slogan. It's a cult. Run.
She channels Ramtha.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, Jay-Z is a girl?
Yep.
I just assumed it was a boy for some reason.
It's because you think Jay-Z the rapper. That's why.
Yeah.
Though it is not.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. What about you, Melina?
Today I have H.H. Holmes, which I'm sure many people have heard of H.H. Holmes. He's been featured in so many different, if not like
Books,
movies, documentaries. I mean, there's a lot. So, but because there's so much, I'm going to try to do highlights because this truly could be like a 3-part series.
I felt the same way about Genghis Khan. Like, I could tell you about Genghis Khan, but we're going to be here for 6 or 7 days, so I'm just going to give you some highlights.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do the disappearance of Bobby Dunbar. That fascinated me when I was a kid, about this kid that gets lost, and then they find a kid, they think it's his, and everybody's questioning whether or not that kid was really, the kid that they found was really Bobby Dunbar.
Ooh.
Did you know, what was it the other day? There was a child that was abducted.
Oh.
And then some guy came out and said, hey, I'm that kid.
Yes.
Come to find out he wasn't.
Yes. Oh, the family, he even had a French accent, and this family was American. But I guess they said they were aware, even though he was years older. I think he was supposed to be like, this kid should be like 16 at this point, and this guy was like in his early 20s. Mm-hmm. The family said they just wanted to believe so bad that they were willing to set everything aside that made this not the right guy. Mm-hmm. Until the DNA came back in his head.
I thought it was pretty shitty, though.
Yeah.
So I come to the police. I say I'm this person. They immediately call the family and say that. I'd be testing, making sure. Like, that's how I heard about it, because the family was so upset. And how could this person do this? And I'm thinking, why did the cops even tell them?
Oh, because what if someone shows up and they're like, well, we didn't tell you, but someone showed up and they said their kid, and you're like, what the fuck? You could at least told me.
Yeah. No. But they tested the DNA. The police tested his DNA.
Oh, really? Not the parents?
No, not the parents.
We paid
The
for
police
that? Wait,
did.
that actually pisses me off a little. We have like literally millions of untested rape kits. Get to that DNA first. Put that fucking kid in line.
Yeah.
And you're in line behind all the other rape kits, motherfucker.
So that's your kid until we get to you.
Exactly. We need to get a move on the backlog, folks.
Okay, hold on, because you got to talk amongst yourselves. I don't have any coffee.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you're surviving.
You're fine.
I don't know how one survives without coffee.
Oh, I've already had my cup today. Though I must say, after going from like a pot of coffee to like Keurigs, I don't drink as much coffee anymore.
Really?
Mostly because I'm lazy.
Oh,
And I don't want to kill
drink-
the planet when I actually use the non-reusable ones.
Ah.
I constantly drink coffee all day.
I don't drink coffee all day.
All day.
Monday
all
through
night.
Yeah.
All the way to bed.
Oh, really? Monday through Friday, I drink coffee in the morning, and then, Saturday, Sunday, I always try to convince my husband, or Friday and Saturday night after dinner, like we're doing something really dangerous. You want some coffee? Living like we're young, folks.
Right.
All right, anybody want to go first? Assholes. All right, I'll go first.
I was preparing with a beverage, but I mean.
That's it. All right, I'll go first. So, in the summer of 1912, in Louisiana, the Dunbar family decided to escape the summer heat by camping near Swayze Lake. So Leslie,
Swayze?
Swayze, like Patrick.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Leslie and Percy Dunbar brought their 2 children with them, Bobby, the oldest at 4 years old, and baby Alonzo. Swayze Lake is part of a bayou and was known to be home to alligators. I mean, people, it's Louisiana, right? So, August 23rd, 1912, Paul Mizzy, a family friend, took a group of boys down to the lake to hunt for garfish. And after they all walked back, the group realizes that Bobby's missing. So Bobby's parents begin searching for him with local help. I mean, right away, people start looking everywhere for this kid. And they were able to track Bobby to Swayze Lake, but they couldn't find a body, and they didn't believe that he had drowned. Let me just say, the newspapers are messed up in 1912. Let me just start with that. I must have read so many newspapers, and they are so conflicting. And I just want to be like, oh, you fuckers. But anyways, so I read that Bobby had this distinctive hat on, that all these kids had like these different straw hats on, but his had a broken strap. Mm-hmm. They say, there's people that say the hat was never found. And the reason why they speculate about the hat is because they believed if Bobby had fallen into the water or was drugged by an alligator, like some people believe, that the hat would have been floating on the top of the surface because the straw hats are really light and they float. But there are people that say that the hat was found a distance from the lake, suggesting that somebody took the boy and drug him off and the hat fell off some distance from the lake. But there is no real evidence that it goes either way. They all sound made up.
Okay.
Yeah. And and when I get later in the story, you find out like newspaper people back in the day were assholes. So authorities and locals search for the boy for about 8 months, and it becomes national news. Like the whole country's invested in it. Reminds me of Madeline McCann. You know how we all know about that little girl who was stolen, but yeah. So that he was the Madeline McCann of the 1912s.
Okay.
Percy, Bobby's dad, offers a $1,000 reward, which is equal to $25,000 today, for any information leading to his kid. On April 13th, 1913, a man was arrested as a suspect. William Cantrell Walters was from North Carolina. He was a traveling tinker that was moving through Columbia, Mississippi. William was traveling with a boy that was around 4 or 5 years old. The boy had blonde hair and blue eyes, just like Bobby Dunbar. And Williams was seen whipping the boy by some local women. So the women see him beating this kid. They tell the police he looks like Bobby Dunbar. Boom, this guy's in trouble.
Right.
So William tells the authorities like a couple stories, like he's not 100% with all his stories. And he lands on the one that said that the boy is his nephew, Charles Bruce Anderson, and that the child went by the name of Bruce, and that he was born to William's brother and his brother's servant, Julia Anderson. The child was illegitimate. William let them know that Julia had given him permission to travel with the boys. So authorities, unconvinced that he's telling the truth, place the boy on the train and send him to the Dunbars. So like, we don't think that you're telling the truth.
Like you do nothing. You don't do any investigation. It's like, oh, you're not telling the truth, and
like, we don't believe you.
Yeah, off to this family.
Yes, a little bit like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Wow.
Okay.
Now here's
fascinating.
Yeah, me too. Now it's at this point here when the kid shows up at the train station. There's 2 very different, very conflicting reports on what happened when the kid shows up. So some newspapers articles stated that Leslie and Percy didn't immediately recognize the child that arrived on the train. They stated that the boy who arrived, the kid that arrives on the train, doesn't recognize his parents or Alonzo, the little baby. Mm-hmm. And according to some resources, the newly arrived Bobby wasn't really like, oh, hugging or kissing Leslie. It was just kind of cold toward her, like, oh, stranger danger a little bit, or like, you're kind of making me uncomfortable.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah. But other newspaper articles state that it was a loving reunion, that the little boy called to them like, Mama, Papa, and embraces them. And it was said that differing accounts are said to due to people being emotionally invested in the story and that they wanted it to be Bobby. Mm-hmm. So they kind of saw what they wanted to see, even though the kid didn't do it. Or they wanted to
tell a story.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So
nobody wants to read a story about a kid that
they come back and they're like, oh, wrong kid. Yeah, we're all emotionally invested in this kid. It's the wrong one. Yeah.
Right.
Truly, Leslie wasn't sure that the boy was Bobby in the very beginning. During a second meeting with the child, she looked for some identifying marks, like he has a mole on the front of his neck and he had like a scar on his foot, on his toe. He didn't answer to the name Bobby or any name at all. So that was one of the things that was confusing. This kid just didn't give off much info. He's 4. He's 4 years old.
Right.
He was like standoffish toward all adults. And the boy did have a mole and did have a scar. So, and he started to warm up to Leslie when she gave him a bath. But at that point, I feel like he's like, oh my God, there's an adult being nice to me. Mind you, he was found getting whipped by some dude. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe he was just like, oh, she's nice to me. I guess I will like her, is how I saw it.
Yeah.
And after the bath, she does declare, this is my son. I found my son. So it gets out that the Dunbar family found Bobby, and everybody is celebrating. There was a brass band that played when they arrived home. There was a parade in their honor. Big deal. So meanwhile, back in jail, William Walters is still like, wait, that's not Bobby Dunbar. That's my nephew. He's still saying he's innocent. And at the time, kidnapping was punishable by death in Louisiana. So this guy's about to die. And he's convicted of kidnapping by a jury of his peers. And soon after the conviction, Julia Anderson, the boy's mother, arrives in town. And Julia's information about Bruce matches William's testimony. But Julia's kind of pissed, and this is why William was hemming and hawing. She's like, I just gave my son to him because he said he was going to take him to his sister's house for a few days, and he's been gone for almost a year. You know, he basically did kidnap him. He didn't kidnap Bobby Dunbar. He kidnapped my son. His name is Charles Bruce Anderson, but everybody calls the boy Bruce. Like, he kidnapped Bruce instead. Now William's case is starting to look shaky against him. People are like, he can't have kidnapped Bobby Dunbar if the lady's saying it's their kid. Mm-hmm. They do release him 2 years later because they say it's too expensive to try to retry him for the kidnapping. So they're saying, okay, we can't prove that he's guilty of kidnapping Bobby Dunbar, but Bobby, the little boy who's now Bobby Dunbar, stays with the Dunbars. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, you guys just said you can't prove that he kidnapped him, but you still let him stay with the Dunbar family?
Right.
Yes. When shown 5 little boys, Julia, like the Dunbars, couldn't immediately pick out which one was her kid. Like, it took her a second. But she starts to look at him, and then she picks the same kid that Leslie and Percy had said was their son. The press were actually biased against her. They reported that they're like, oh, well, she hesitated. Initially she hesitated when looking at the kids. And to credit, one of the things they used to discredit her is that she was illiterate because she can't read. They also brought up the fact that her son was illegitimate. She had, she's a woman of loose morals. She had a baby with the man she's not married to. And they just basically downed her. She ends up going home, no kid, even though she's like, I swear to you, this is my kid. And nope, goes home, no kid. So Bobby's raised by the Dunbars, and there's always a mystery around whether or not this is the right kid. Mm-hmm. So cut to 1999. Woo. Yep. Margaret Dunbar Cutright, Bobby Dunbar's granddaughter, because we're going to call him Bobby Dunbar now, this kid.
Right.
Was given a photo album by her dad that contained newspaper clippings about her granddad, about the disappearance. Mm-hmm. And it triggers her to start digging into her family history. And she goes through, all the newspaper clippings. She goes to libraries. She goes online. She even gets a membership to the Library of Congress and is going through all these things there. Mm-hmm. So she reaches out to the Anderson family. And she connects with Julia Anderson's granddaughter, Linda Taver. And their family talks about how they had a kid kidnapped. One of their uncles was kidnapped from their family and raised by the Dunbars. And the Dunbars family story is how the Andersons tried to kidnap their kid. They got him back. They're both trying to figure out, the two women together are trying to figure out what happens. And sometimes there is tension, between them because each family says the other one stole the kid, right? Mm-hmm. But one letter changes everything for Margaret. So the letter was written by this woman who only identifies, it was in this newspaper clipping, as the Christian woman. And the letter writer believes that the Dunbar family does have the wrong child. And she questions why other people were not able to view Bobby privately. And that was something she had known before, that nobody was allowed to see the kid privately. Hmm. And the author of the letter questions why 2 parents couldn't identify their kid that's only been gone for 8 months. And she's, this makes her really start to question, like, maybe the Andersons are right. Mm-hmm. She finally convinces her dad in 2013 to get a DNA test. And her dad's DNA test, so her dad's a direct descendant from Bobby Dunbar. Her dad's DNA is tested to Alonzo's DNA, the baby Alonzo, which we know for sure is the Dunbar. Mm-hmm. They do not match. He is not a Dunbar, no. But the one thing I thought was weird, they didn't have his DNA tested to the Andersons.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
I don't know, but I'm hoping that since then they fixed this. I just couldn't find if they had or not.
Interesting.
Yes. Well, this causes a lot of tension in the Dunbar family with Margaret because they're pissed at her. Their family history was their kid was almost stolen, they got him back. Now they just found out they're kidnappers, Mm-hmm. So, and it also changes, like, so is that really your uncle then, that you always grew up with as your uncle? Are these really your cousins, so you always grew up with it? Which I say yes. Blood's nothing. Mm-hmm. But it's nature versus nurture. The family's mad at Margaret. And in 2008, Angelina starred in a movie called The Changeling, which was based on this story. They bring back her kid. She says, that's not my kid. And they lock her up in a mental institution. Yeah. So that is So yeah, as a kid, I remember hearing about it. And then I found out as an adult, they were able to tell whether or not it really was him. I was just like, I'm in on this story.
I'd have been suing somebody. Like, you kidnapped my kid.
In 1912, though.
Yeah.
Well, actually 1913, because it was 8 months later.
I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've taken my family.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
The statute of limitations ran out. All right, you want to go next then, or do you want to hear about H.H. Holmes?
I can go next.
Okay.
J.Z. Knight, which is Judith Zebra Knight.
Zebra?
Yeah.
I've never heard that as a name before for
I looked it up a couple different places.
It is Zebra?
I was like, that doesn't sound real, but it is.
Okay.
She is known as a New Age teacher and author. She worked in the cable industry in Washington State, and one day she went to a psychic.
Okay.
And that psychic told her that in the future, the Enlightened One would appear to her.
Okay. Let me guess. Like always, she's going to be a prophet?
Yeah, they're all prophets.
They're all prophets and preachers. Nobody says, I was here to be a lowly level 1 person.
In 1977, Jay-Z was in her kitchen, and come to find out, Ramtha appeared.
Ramtha.
Yeah. Ramtha was a human who lived on the ancient continent of Lemuria?
Okay.
Lemuria?
Lemuria. Wait a minute. Haven't we read about Lemuria before? Wasn't that part of the Richard Sharpshaver story? Shit, I knew that was familiar.
And that's when Jake commented when he listened to that. He said, oh, look at this. Similar.
Ah.
Yeah. So 35, and he lived 35,000 years ago.
Of course.
Ramtha conquered 2/3 of the known world. During his life, he learned how to leave his body, be channeled by.
Oh, astral projection? Like that astral projection?
I don't know what that is.
Like, can he actually... So, astral projection, like, he can take his, like, the essence of his soul, I guess, and project it in a different...
Into somebody else.
No,
just
a different
like,
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my understanding was.
Maybe.
But
I don't know.
Oh, but
I'd
he
have to
can
read more about
he
it.
can go into somebody?
So, possession.
He's the next level then from astral projection. He's like astral projection and Supreme Rex X.
Yeah. People channel him.
Okay. So,
and then he speaks through those people.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, it's like an actual possession of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay.
Keep going.
At this point, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Jay-Z claims to channel Ramtha, and it speaks through her. Jay-Z appeared on television shows in the 80s, wrote a book, A State of Mind, and created Ramtha School of Enlightenment, which she is the president of. And you have to, in the continuing conversations, I have pulled every single TV show that she was on in the 80s that I could find, because it is so ridiculous. It's so painful. Like,
wait, the 80s clothing or what she's talking about?
Donahue. Yo, that was bad too. That was bad too.
The hair was special.
She's on Donahue, and she starts to channel him, and I'm just sitting there like, all these people are oohing and on. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Seriously? She's like, oh, and then like stretches, and then all of a sudden this, crazy guy voice comes on. And
that just remembers her like, Ramtha.
He doesn't know what television is, and... All kinds of stuff.
Wait, if he's been projecting, then he's projected into somebody who knows what TV is. Okay? Or who's been in front of a TV, right? If he's projecting himself into a U.S. citizen. Because we have like a TV in every room in this country.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yes.
So I felt like she took it to the next level when she actually had that channeling copyrighted. So
wait, so channeling Ramtha?
She is the sole channeler of Ramtha.
Soul, like, no one else can do it.
No one else can do it. She actually sued a lady
who channeled him?
Said she channeled him. And the courts gave her $800.
Well, let's not play around and channel Ramtha then.
Yeah. Like the courts.
So how did she prove that someone... Oh my God.
No
I don't want to even say the legality. I don't think I can.
Okay. But the courts believed that, she was the sole person that could do that.
Okay.
And then that lady had to pay her $800.
Okay.
It was so great. So again, she sued people that said that they can channel, and people have distributed information on Ramtha. She sues them too, because she should be the only one.
What you need to do is challenge Ramtha's brother, Babata, and just get right around that.
So. The School of Enlightenment is, of course, surrounded by controversy.
You don't say.
Shocker. Yeah. The school is located in Yelm, Washington, on Jay-Z's 80-acre estate. She's got like this.
So I guess Ramtha knows how to bring money in. Hello.
Oh yeah. In 2007, her profits from the school, her books, was approximately $2.5 million.
I need to fake channel things.
And her teachings have expanded over, she's in 20 countries. The teachings at the school are focused around Jay-Z's channeling of Ramtha. During the students' lessons, there is the use of wine drinking, tobacco smoking, and rock and roll.
Oh, awesome.
I would go to any school like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jay-Z and her followers say the school is not religious, so it's not a religion,
Okay.
and it's not a cult.
Yeah, I think if you have to say we're not a cult, it means you are a cult.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
But they're not a religion either.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So
what are they? A belief system?
I did not say.
Oh, they're just a school.
They're a school.
Okay.
They're trying to enlighten people.
Okay.
So that they can channel people.
But
not
she's
Ramtha.
not, yeah.
Well, they can't, not Ramtha,
Okay.
but I'm sure somebody else.
His brother Bhavta.
Martha.
Yeah.
The students are being taught they are working towards becoming an enlightened one who will be able to alter their personal reality on command.
Okay.
The activities...
I could stand for a little personality changer. There's times that my personality changes are like, oh shit, bad alley got out.
The activities they do to become enlightened consist of meditation techniques, breathing techniques, blindfolded archery,
Huh?
which was just weird, and energy healing. Not only can they learn how to heal themselves, but how to heal others.
Okay.
Jay-Z's former husband, her personal bodyguard, and some of past students call it a cult.
Yeah.
Past students say the school practices brainwashing, mind control, intimidating, and fear techniques. Jay-Z has been called a spiritual predator.
Oh, someone's calling out the big dogs.
Yeah. I call her nuts. Once you watch these videos, you're going to be on board. Like, this woman is crazy. It is said that she would tell students if they left the lizard people, sharpshaver,
Yeah?
and an ancient figure, Jehovah, will come back to Earth by way of a spaceship.
So I would leave just to test her.
There is actually an online community for students who did leave.
Oh.
It provides them support to try to help them cope because they, often feel lost after.
Well, yeah. Well, I think anytime you leave a cult, you feel lost because you were in one way of thinking and now everything is completely different. Yeah, it'll mess you up.
Mm-hmm.
Craziest controversy that I read about her, she's got a lot, was her most recent in 2011. When channeling Ramtha, she said, "Fuck God's chosen people. I think they have earned enough cash to have paid their way out of the goddamn gas chamber by now."
What?
She continues to say Mexican people breed like rabbits and are poison.
Holy
She then says gay men used to be Catholic priests and organic farmers have bad hygiene. It's like,
What?
Wow.
Those are all
So
like...
is there a process that she's got to do in order to channel Ramtha?
Yeah, she sits there and closes her eyes and she does these
I do that before I
breathing
nap.
technique.
Oh, like,
Yeah.
And then she
Does she
so
take anything prior to these, in deep breaths?
yeah, no, I'm sure she's on some type of drug. She
Why not?
moves her head around.
oh
and
my
then
God,
all of a
I've seen that woman.
And then she her whole
Yeah.
body goes limp and her head goes down to her chest.
And she comes up Ramtha.
And then she it's like waking up and she's stretching her arms and
Okay, well, Ramtha's a spirit. He doesn't need to stretch his body because he's not in one, but that's fine.
I'm just saying. But it's so crazy. You have to.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in the continuing conversations. I mean, it was funny, but so painful. I was like, oh my God, people sat through this.
Not good.
Goodness.
All right,
Yes.
Melina, bring it. Bring it with H.H. Holmes.
Okay. Well, so it's really interesting that you talk about the newspaper back in the day.
Yeah.
Because I also will be talking a little bit about newspapers back in the day.
Okay. Back in the early 1900s?
1800s.
1800s.
Late 1800s, like
Okay.
1886 to 94, 95.
Okay.
Where to start, truthfully, with H.H. Holmes?
Because he kills a lot.
Well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're really not sure. So to go back on the whole, idea of newspapers not really being truthful is that they really, at least in Chicago, they sensationalized everything. So they are actually thinking that there's, he didn't have all of these murders, So they say that it was up to like 200 deaths that he could have potentially had.
Yeah.
But, when he finally got caught, he confessed to 27 murders.
Okay.
And then he said, oh, it's like more to like 130. And then afterwards...
That's actually a thing that serial killers do. They bump their number up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then, then they were saying, like, the newspapers, well, researchers say it's over 200. But actually, there was a book that was created by...
Devil in the White City?
No.
Okay.
That has a lot of fiction in it, but yes.
Okay.
That's where this guy, actually, Adam Seltzer, there's no T in it. He wrote the H.H. Holmes, The True Story of the White City Devil. I didn't read the book because that would be a whole other, month or so. But he really wanted to get out of the whole fiction and get more of the facts in. So he wrote this whole story, and a lot of the different articles and websites that I read all say, if you really want to know just the facts, read this book. He did an excellent job of just trying to get the facts. But yeah, so let's see here. So was this all fiction created by journalists to sensationalize this man? So, they had exaggerated stories. Some say that they called it a hanging room just because the police found rope in the room.
Oh, it is a murder house or whatever?
Yes, in the murder house. Which... The murder house actually was only 3 years out of his whole entire life.
Okay.
I mean, he did a lot of killing.
Yeah.
But it was only 3 years.
Yeah, well, that's because didn't he do it during the World's Fair? And that's how he managed, they figured he might have managed to kill a lot, the Chicago World's Fair or whatever, and that's how he might have managed to kill people because he said, oh, you can stay at my house, it's like a hotel, and then since they're travelers, you never see him again?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So some of it was because of the fact that he... had the World's Fair. The World's Fair was there. He actually called it the World's Fair Hotel, but the hotel portion actually never opened, to the public. So what he basically was a con artist, and so insurance fraud, and that's how his story and background. That's how he lured a lot of people, mostly women, mostly blonde, but there were some men and stuff as well. But so actually very interesting. And I called you yesterday to go into his background a little bit. Is that he actually went to U of M medical school and
University of Michigan.
Crazy.
Yeah, he went to University of Michigan Medical School, got his degree there. He wasn't the greatest student, but still, he is a doctor.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've said to William before, there's somebody out there that graduated at the bottom of his class and is still a doctor.
Yes.
Just so you know.
This is true. But what I thought was so funny, this guy, H.H. Holmes, is known as, America's first serial killer. So I was like, U of M does a really good job of getting the best of the best out there.
Yeah, they do. They talk about U of M as the best.
So...
Yeah. He wasn't the best doctor.
No,
but he had the best in something else.
Yeah. So he became a pharmacist, and so because he was a pharmacist, he also sold life insurance as well, which I thought was interesting, just a little craziness. I was like, oh wait, so was that normal or just that something that he did as well? But so because he was such a con artist and stuff like that, he was living in Philadelphia, and he swindled so many people that when he moved to Chicago, that's when he changed his name from Herman Webster Mudgett to Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. So H.H. Holmes.
That just reminds me of a porn name. Probably because John Holmes or something. But we have over here, we have Max Beef and H.H. Holmes in our next film. That's how
he changed his name, because he didn't want people finding him, as this con artist who's been swindling people out of their money. And so when he was in Chicago, he started working at this drugstore. Got the lady that owned the drugstore. Her husband eventually passed away. He somehow convinced her to sign him as the main beneficiary. And
then she dies, right?
Took all her money, bought the drugstore, and then ended up buying the the lot across on the other way. And he's been swindling other people as he's been doing this as well, getting their money, having him be the sole beneficiary for his life, for their life insurance. And then when he starts building the multi-story, it actually started as a 2-building multi-story or mixed-use building. So the bottom was like retail, and then a new pharmacy that was going to be ran by him. All of his employees had to have life insurance and name him as the main beneficiary.
What? Red flag on the field. Red flag on the field. I'm sorry.
And like no one questioned that?
No. And then what's like, what happened to Bob? Oh, he's not going to make it today. Like everybody just starts dying.
Right, slowly but surely.
Your boss keeps getting richer. It's weird.
So weird. But yeah, and then the second story was apartment buildings, and then by the time he decided to build the third story, he had like investors, and that's when he had said that he's going to turn it into a hotel.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people who worked at the pharmacy were women though also, because they worked the jewelry counter, they worked the back of the counter, mostly females were the ones at the counter stores, not men.
Yeah.
And that's how he was able to have these women come in, and men as well, and then eventually some of them became romantic lovers that he would swindle, and so take them upstairs and murder them and everything like that. So the
Wait a minute. You would take them upstairs and murder them?
Well, yeah, he would take them upstairs to the murder house. Yeah.
Oh, so he's like, hey, girl.
He's got apartments on the second floor.
You want to Netflix and chill with me? And then she goes up to Netflix and chill with him, and he murders her?
Yes.
I'm not going anywhere to watch Netflix anymore with anyone.
Okay, this was back in the 1800s. There was no Netflix.
I know, but whatever boys did back in the day, like, hey, girl, want to watch me write with a quill? Or something like that.
Okay, so this is where the murder house kind of comes into play a little bit, though.
Okay.
So, because what he did with some of the bodies is that he would strip them of all their flesh and muscles and sell the skeletons to local medical schools. And because he was a doctor from University of Michigan, these local medical schools are like, I trust you. I don't know where you got this body or this skeleton, but we'll use it for our studies.
Yeah.
So,
which is a little more pocket change for him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So the murder castle itself. So it's in Chicago. It was built on 63rd and Wallace Street.
Was Birkenhair already a thing by the time he started doing that? Because Birkenhair were the guys in England that were murdering people and selling their bodies to medical schools for money.
Yeah. I would totally say so.
Okay, good. I'm like, he probably got his ideas from Birkenhair. He's right down like, so serial kills, sell bodies. He's got a list of shit to do.
The building took up an entire street block.
Yeah, it was huge.
It was massive. There were soundproof rooms, secret passages, disorienting maze like hallways and stairwells, trap doors with above chutes that would lead directly to the basement.
Yeah, those were they assumed they were body chutes, right?
Yes, whether they were alive or after he finished, doing. Anyways, the incinerator and kill, acid vats, quicklime pits, doors that locked from the outside, and then gas jets to asphyxiate his victims as well.
Yeah, I thought one of his things was he would close them up in an airtight room, turn on the gas jets, and then just watch them smother or whatever.
Yeah, so one of the articles I read said that, because he had an office and he had a vault in his office, so he would, lock people up in his vault. And since it's soundproof and there's no airtight, that was one of the ways of doing it as well.
I just think, not that any serial killing is good, but that's a pussy serial kill.
Yeah.
You just lock them in a room and wait for them to suffocate, you little sissy ass. Other serial killers are out there working.
Yeah. Working for it.
Seriously.
I mean, he had a hotel. So maybe
he doesn't have time to always kill everyone, right?
Well, he had one thing going on in this room and had someone else going on in this room, and he's got bodies decomposing in the basement that he's got to strip the flesh and clean the skeleton.
You're like, he has shit to do, just lock him in there. Yeah. Okay. I have more respect for his schedule.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
But so it's really funny that all of this, he's known for the murder house and stuff like that, but he actually doesn't get caught because of the murder house.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that's not what gets him caught.
No.
Isn't it his third wife? Or am I wrong on that?
No. So he actually has 3 wives, consecutively married to all 3 of them.
But 2 of them died.
In the same place?
Didn't 2 die?
No.
Oh, okay.
So in the same city, he's married to 3?
No, different cities. One's in Philadelphia, one's in Denver, Colorado, and then one is with him in Chicago.
Don't the other 2 wonder where he's at?
No, they're divorced, don't they?
Yeah, one of them they've divorced, but he never filed the paperwork, so they were actually officially still married.
Oh,
Clara, the one in Philadelphia, he would violently beat her. And
sounds
they
like
had
a
a kid.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second one was actually Murda. Yeah, Murda, and she was swindled out of her money, but still married to him because she never divorced him at all. And then Georgina was the one who was the third loving wife. Totally didn't know any about all of these murders and swindling and stuff like that. And he was the one that he wanted to like run away with her into Canada, actually. Toronto, to be exact.
Well.
Yes. So he finally got caught in around November 17th of 1984. And he got caught because he met an associate.
Wait, 1884?
Oh, sorry, 1894.
1894. Okay,
Sorry,
don't worry.
my bad. Dyslexic.
I've done it too. Don't worry. 1894. Okay.
1894. 100 years after I graduated from junior high.
100 years before. You graduated. Not after.
Yes.
Yeah.
That way too.
Melina is so old, but she looks so good, folks. I can't
Yeah,
even tell you.
I'm
Not a wrinkle on this
Wow.
head. Not a wrinkle on this crown.
No.
Yeah.
I found the eternal, the fountain of youth.
Yeah, right. It's serial murder.
Yes. I bathe in the blood of young women.
Yeah. You and that Bathory chick.
I know. You know I love my bubble bath. So he schemed with this associate named Ben Pietzel. I want to say it's Pietzel. I could totally be wrong. It's Pittezel.
Okay.
Anyways, he met up with this guy and he's like, let's defraud some insurance people. And we'll say that, we'll get life insurance out on. He actually tried to do it on him first for $20,000. But then the insurance companies kind of figured him out and said, no, we're not going to give you your life insurance. So he's like, crap. So and the attorney that was helping him was also going to like help out with this con and everything like that. And he was going to get a piece of the money as well. So then he convinces his friend, his associate Ben, and he's like, yeah, I think this sounds great. Let's do this, And his is for $10,000. Well, he ends up actually killing his associate, lies to the wife saying, no, he's in London. Like, he's just hiding. I've heard London, I heard South America, like, different articles say that he, referenced him to not be in the country, that he's hiding somewhere.
Right.
But I will, gave her, like, $500 to start off with. But the kids were getting suspicious of him.
Okay.
So the kids, he had 5 kids. He left the mom and the eldest and the baby together. And then took the 3 others. Okay. Saying, I'm just going to take them with me. I'll take care of them, whatever, like that. Because he's a con artist. He's very...
So he's taking somebody else's children?
Yeah, his associate's Ben's kid.
Yeah, and didn't he kill Ben?
So he killed Ben. Yeah. They're already dead.
Yeah.
These kids are getting suspicious, Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what to do. He wants the money for himself, and he's not going to give it to the wife. Because the wife knew about the insurance fraud as well. So he ends up killing 2 of the girls by putting them in a trunk, drilling holes, and asphyxiating them with gas. And
he likes to asphyxiate people.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
Yeah, maybe it helps with the decomposing of the body more, or maybe
plus there's no suspicious marks. There's no broken hyoid bone. Right. There's no petechia in the eyes.
So yeah, if you're selling these to the medical school, you're like, here's a corpse you can use. And then the last kid that he ends up killing, he chopped up and burned. Yes. So, but during the time between when Ben was still alive, they had gotten in jail really for a brief minute. He had met this lady named Marion Hedgepeth, who was a career criminal, and he ended up helping out Mudgett along with this insurance scheme as well. She was the one that ended up finding the attorney that was helping them with their insurance fraud. Okay. She's the one that actually ends up turning him in.
Oh, because she figures out Ben's dead?
Because she didn't get her cut of the money.
Rolling off. We're like, are we going to go down? Yeah, but we're taking you with us.
Right. So she's the one that ends up, taking the money, or not taking, sending him to jail, and then he gets that, and that's how he gets put away. And then that's when he starts confessing all of his, crimes at the murder castle and everything like that.
So when he gets arrested, he's convicted of this insurance fraud.
Right.
And what does he get for that? Is he going to...
He gets the death penalty.
Oh, okay. So now it doesn't matter that he's spewing off everything else.
Okay. Yeah, well, he had to admit to killing Ben and then...
Right.
Yeah, because he killed Ben for the insurance money.
He's been tried for murder, but for Ben.
Oh,
not for...
Yeah, and then after that, he's like, okay, might as well, fuck it, I'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they like to brag. Serial killers have to, almost all of them, not all of them, have to tell somebody. Or even that one girl, she talks about, I think it's called, I listened to just one episode, but her dad was a serial killer, and she talks about every now and then he would say weird shit to her. I think that they want to tell.
Yeah, I mean, till the day he died, he still wanted to make money by selling his story to the Hearst Corporation for $10,000.
Wow.
So,
even to the end.
To the bitter end. But yeah, he was hanged on May 7th of 1896 in Philadelphia. They showed that he remained calm, he was amiable, he wasn't depressed, he had no signs of fear or anxiety. And all of this, he had asked for his coffin to be contained in cement and buried 10 feet deep, because he was concerned about grave robbers stealing his body and using it for dissection. However, Holmes's neck did not snap, so he did not have a very pleasant hang.
Oh, so he just had to strangle to death, which takes minutes. Like
15 minutes before he was pronounced dead. Yes. 20 minutes after the trap had been sprung.
Yes.
So he ended up having a very slow, painful death as well. But,
karma, bitches.
But yeah, so there's been so many like pop culture stuff that's happened. Like, there's several books out there. There's even a graphic novel about H.H. Holmes and the Murder Castle. Several movies and TV shows. Like there's a UK Channel 5 aired a documentary. The History Channel did one. The Investigations Discovery had like a 3-part series.
I watched one of them.
I think there's one on Netflix.
Yeah, I watched one on Netflix years ago.
Yeah, Supernatural did had a character that was based on him, so was in the show Timeless, and then most recently the American Horror Story Hotel. Evan Peters played someone that was very similar to H.H. Holmes. And then recently, a newly announced Martin Scorsese Hulu series that is going to star Leonardo DiCaprio as playing H.H. Holmes, based on the Devil in the White City book. Leonardo DiCaprio actually has screen rights to it, so it's his movie. He's going to play the lead character. Martin Scorsese is going to direct it.
Wow.
And there's also a video game called The Horror of H.H. Holmes. It's a VR game that you're trying to figure out all the different murders at the same time, trying to evade the murderer H.H. Holmes yourself in the hotel.
That would just,
that would bring my anxiety to the forefront.
Yeah.
I'd have to only play that Sunday mornings or something because I need time before
I'm
bed.
have to look that up.
Yeah. All right. You've been listening to Michigan and Other Mayhem with Allie.
And Jen.
And Melina.
Connect with us at MichiganandOtherMayhem.com to join the conversation, listen to the podcast, access show notes, find site links, and correct us when necessary. Rate and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Anchor, and YouTube. Bye-bye now.